Hello and welcome to one of the first interval games tutorials, mainly focusing on the game engine in Blender. Why? Because Blender's free and free stuff's awesome. Blender's actually a very capable program, you can do a lot with it, and this tutorial, kicking things off something a little bit interesting, to add some cool AI into your games. A new steering actuator which has been added into Blender in the new kind of user interface update. Basically just gives a mind of its own to your objects to find out, make it know how to get to a place, how to get around objects and obstacles. So yeah, let's just start. Blender render, change that from Blender render to Blender game because we're working in the game engine. That'll open up more settings, more specific to games. Now let's just delete everything, start from scratch, and let's add a plane. Oh, I love that spacebar. Add plane, or you can just do Shift A, add mesh plane, scale it up. I'm assuming you know how to scale, if not it's S. Now this plane just basically represents the ground in whatever game you would have. So so whatever you've got in your ground, we have to, I'm just going to quickly put in like a little wall in the middle for my guy to walk around. This basically just represents, you know, a mountain or a door, whatever's in yours. So, so yes, just going to extrude that up. And boom, I'm going to add a cube. This is going to be our little bot, which will try and find its way around this wall, and two monkey, Suzanne. If you didn't know, that's the name of this monkey. So, yes, that's the monkey cube. Now, what we're going to be using for this is the logic editor, so change the window to the logic editor there, or in the layout you can change that to game logic, or you can hold control, right arrow key to jump straight to it, or it should jump straight through it, mine does, if not just change the layout up there. With the cube selected, let's just add an always sensor, so we always want it to be trying to find that monkey. As soon as the game starts it will, an AND controller, and the actuator, change it to steering. Now got a couple of options in here. I don't know if you can see that, I'll just make it bigger. With behavior, you've got behavior seek. Now that'll basically just point towards the monkey and just go head on, like through any walls that's there, it doesn't really matter, it will try and get to it in a straight line. That's just the same as the old edit object, the track 2 setting. It was point towards it and go. Then you've got flee, which is the exact opposite of that, but just still in a straight line. And then you've got path following, which will obviously make its own path around obstacles, more smart and quite amazing. So what we're going to do in target object down here, we want to make that the monkey, we want it to go to the monkey, and navigation mesh is the mesh that your object would be walking on. Now we can't just put in plane, so that's the mesh that's on the ground. We can't just do that because that's got no information on it. It doesn't tell it that yes, there's a wall there and you can't go through that. So to give it some information, you click on the wall. It's quite simple. Go over to the properties tab, properties window, where it's got scene, the scene tab, navigation mesh, and then just click on build navigation mesh. There's a lot of settings there, but they should all just be okay for this here. You might want to customize those, like say max slope. It won't put information on a slope which is higher than 45 degrees. This is helpful because you might, like, you know, your objects can't actually go higher than a certain amount, so you wouldn't want them just walking into nothing. But just for now, I'm just going to build navigation mesh. So there we've got all these colors on where it can go. So yes, that's quite awesome. Now click on your little character, whoever he is, and in the navigation mesh just make sure it goes to nav mesh, which has now been added. So this is an actual new object here. You can edit it, you can change where things are closer or further away to where your characters can actually walk. Your characters won't be able to walk out of here, like they'll try. So I think they can, but they'll try and generally stay within the nav mesh. So now if I were to just start this now, I'm just going to go to edit wireframe mode. If I press play, you can see real simply this box, just with that steering actuator, will find a you can see the red line because I've clicked on visualize down the bottom. It will visualize out the red line of where it's going to pathfind to this place. Now this is great so far because you've got your mesh on the ground and it'll find a way there. But however, what about objects that are in your game that don't have nav mesh on them? Something that it probably won't even recognize as part of the mesh because it's not a part of the ground or anything, it's just an object that's there. You'll see as, firstly, make sure you give dynamics to your character. In the physics tab, little ball over here, make it dynamic. So that'll make it actually interact with some things, everything around it more. So yeah. Now that cube that is added in here, it just runs straight into that currently. So to fix that, we need to actually let it know what is an obstacle in the game, what it can go around and not just have to rely on the nav mesh for. For this, we need to allow something in the world settings of the game. So flick over to the world tab, and down the bottom you'll see object simulation. It's defaultly set to none, and change that to RVO raise. Cells also works, but I just use raise. And click on visualization there. Now if you just play it now, nothing will have changed because we haven't told them what is an obstacle and what is not. So there's two obstacles in here that we need to tell it. Firstly, itself. We need to tell it that yes, it's an obstacle. So to do that, all you got to do is in the physics tab, selecting on our character, right down the bottom, just say create obstacle, the radius of 1. Shouldn't really matter much with that character, but fit the radius as close as you can. And on the obstacle that we just added there, the same thing, radius, that'd probably be like radius of like 0.5 or something. Now when we add, I'm going to big screen this. When we press P to play, you will see that it is a complete idiot. Yes. Now, let's make the turn speed a little bit quicker, and it's trying to get around there. Let's make it a little bit easier for it. So obviously there are a couple of bugs, whereas it'll be a complete idiot sometimes, but I'm just going to duplicate this a couple of times to give it something a little bit more interesting to try and get through. So now let's see how that goes. Oh, okay, so it just went around the wall the other way. I think it's because I'm just going to change these radiuses back down to 1. Because it might be thinking that these cubes are bigger than they actually are. That could be a problem as well, so watch out for that. And hopefully now this will work. Looks for the object, it'll be like, yep, there's one there. Walk around it. Looks for the other object. Runs into a freaking wall. Stuff like that, you know, comes down to how your nav mesh is built, and other settings that will get rid of that. You can go through debugging the whole thing, but that's basically just the basics of it. Obviously you can change these. This can be moving. It'll constantly be trying to find it throughout anything. So that just helps. Very simple to get some more maneuverability to AI, because without having to learn a lot of Python, and especially if you're just getting into it as a hobby or whatever, and that'll really help you. So yeah, happy blending, and shit.